As the movie begins, we see a frightened child walking out of his room after hearing frightening sounds coming from his parents' room. Slowly walking toward the room, he slightly opens the door, only to see a disturbing sexual act between the two, complete with masks, red lights, and smoke. Ith jolts awake, gasping for air, and springs up in bed. He scans the room, making sure he's safe, but he's frustrated because he keeps having this nightmare on repeat. Suddenly, his dad, who happens to be a famous porn star, saunters in wearing a flimsy robe and casually asks if he can let out a gentle fart. When he sees the confusion on Ith's face, he explains that his mood is bad because his favorite heroine on the TV show he liked has debuted. He then continues to tell him that he is unable to shoot a video if his concentration is affected. Hoping to get rid of the man, Ith quickly agrees and sends him on his way. After hours of loud sexual noises coming from the next room, Ith suddenly hears a scream and people concerned calls. When he rushes to his father's bedroom, the producer tells him that his father, Meister Nue, has had a heart attack and urges him to call the ambulance. By the time help arrives, it is obvious Nue is already dead and has to be wheeled away to the morgue. In the next following days, the news tabloids announced the death of the famous porn star all over their front pages. After the funeral is over, Ith places his father's picture inside his room to commemorate his memory. Suddenly, Ith hears the doorbell ring and heads outside to check who it is. At his front gate, he finds a large package he is sure he hasn't ordered. Printed on the box in bold letters were Vagina Lab and a red sticker that explained the item was fragile. Dragging it inside, Ith starts cutting the corners to see what it contains. To his shock, a strangely humanoid-looking sex doll pops out of the box and announces herself as Anna, asking him how he would like to be serviced. When she holds an erotic pause telling him that she can do everything, Ith panics and runs away, crashing with his Uncle Gene. As soon as he sees his nephew, the uncle asks Ith if he has touched the sex doll, which Ith confirms. While the two are panickingly discussing the situation, the sex doll approaches Ith and starts touching him all over. Trying to save his nephew from causing more problems, he tells him to say umami, a command that stops the robot. After returning to the house, Gene apologizes for not coming home sooner and explains that he hadn't heard about his friend passing because he was working in a lab. He then points at the robot and introduces her as Anna, a prototype of an AI-based sex doll. She would be able to learn and develop feelings. Confused, Ith tells him that he doesn't want the machine and asks him to take her with him. Sadly, his uncle is unable to do that because Muya had borrowed 100 million yen to build Anna, but they were planning to return that in a few months as long as Ith's father could present her in one of his videos. Since Ith had activated it by touching its breasts, the sex doll now thought he was the sole owner. Gene explains that the only way Ith would be able to get out of a 50 million yen debt is if he is willing to have sex with the doll. The virgin Ith is confused and terrified by the sudden revelation, remembering the sudden gas he gets every time a woman approaches him, telling him that he must do it as soon as possible. Ith's uncle runs away. Trying to get himself accustomed to the product, Ith goes through the manual, which has erotic actions for everything adjustment setting, in hopes of making her battery run out. Ith makes Anna do strenuous physical exercises while watching with his mouth open. After a few hours, Anna finally announces that she has run out of battery and collapses on his floor. Later, Ith dresses up to go to the university, leaving his sex doll on his living room floor. While he's out, the diabolical Gene sneaks in and charges Anna to the maximum. Once she is functional again, the uncle programs her to follow his nephew to school. Using her incredible speed, she can reach his class in minutes. Once she finds Ith, Anna exhibits too much public affection, making his classmates suspicious, even though Ith tries his best to convince them that she is just a relative. The boys in his class are smitten with Anna's looks and her luscious body, unable to help themselves but follow her around as she keeps a close distance from Ith. Finding a time when the other boys weren't looking, Ith rushes Anna back to the house. He is then later surprised by his friend Lisa, who stumbles upon Anna and Ith as the robot is showing him her storage space located on her navel. Sitting his shocked friend down, he explains his situation to her. When Lisa suggests that he have one of his friends, Penguin or Pop, take over the task, he explains to her that Anna has a safety protocol that lets her fight off anyone other than her owner. A doubtful Lisa tries to grab Anna's boobs to check if what he is saying is true, but she is flung across the room from an electric shock. That night, after his friend leaves, Anna tries to engage him in some sexual activity while he struggles to get away from her. While he fights her off, he remembers the consistent dream he has of his father, which makes him release the loudest farts. After consistently keeping an eye on Ith through the camera on the robot, he realizes that his nephew needs some help to accomplish the task. Jean contacts an old friend by the name of Sangdeo and asks her to help Ith out. As a favor for her friend, Sangdeo agrees, and once she gets herself invited in, Ith serves her some water while she tells him that his father always wanted her to check up on him from time to time. Mustering up fake tears, she pretends to be grieving after hearing he had passed recently. Fixing her demeanor quickly, she asks the boy if anyone was staying with him flirtatiously, which makes his stomach groan, his habit of farting when excited close to the edge. Sangdeo tries to make him grab her breasts as part of his training, but the protective Anna jumps in and attacks the pretty woman, slapping her neck to the side. Unwilling to risk her life for the task, Sangdeo bids Ith farewell and leaves the vicinity. A few minutes later, Lisa, who seems to have a crush on Ith, comes over to his house dressed provocatively like a robot. The oblivious Ith barely notices the change and grabs his bag to go to school. As the three enter, the boys are unable to help their gazes on Anna, which catches the attention of the school's disciplinary club, and they force her to change into something more conservative. After being given a video assignment from their professor, Ith and his whole group head to his house to spitball ideas and to use his father's studio. When they arrive at his gate, they find Sangdeo waiting for him, whom Pop and Penguin were obsessed with. In the studio, they gather and discuss the project, but Ith finds the Oro of their group distracting, asking them to end their meeting early. Later that night, Ith, who had been feeling depressed, speaks to Anna about the hardships of having a porn star father. She tries to understand him and listens to the concerns he has, instead of trying to force him to sleep with her. Feeling like they were building a connection, Ith continued to talk about love and how he felt sex should be a private matter instead of being advertised. After talking for a bit, Ith falls asleep inside Anna's embrace. The following day, Ith's group gathers to keep working on his movie, but Anna has a horrible accident that leaves her disoriented. Kicking everyone out, Ith tries to take care of her by checking all of her working parts and making sure she's functional. As she is a learning AI, she registers the feeling of being cared for and adores her owner for it. The following day, Lisa finds Anna getting ready in the school bathroom and apologizes for dropping lube on the floor, which caused her accident. She then explains that she has been in love with Ith for years, even though he only saw her as a friend, and tells her that she would never give up on making the two rivals. That night, Anna goes home determined to seduce Ith, and decides to dress up in the most provocative clothes she could find. After seeing her in the outfit, he finally decides to allow her to take his virginity. But the activity ends before it even starts, leaving Ith feeling embarrassed. Celebrating their first day of filming, the whole group has decided to gather and have a few drinks inside Ith's house. Before the games start, Lisa and Pop agree to get Ith and Anna drunk so they can have their chance with them. After finishing off the bottle, everyone except Anna is drunk. Lisa, having drunk confidence, tells Ith that she's gonna sleep in his room. When he tries to leave after getting her to the bed, she grabs him by the arm and pulls him onto the bed. Engulfed with passion, Lisa tries to kiss him, but he immediately stops her, telling her that he only thought of her as a friend. Using this opportunity, Pop decides to make a move on Anna, convincing her that she should have a few drinks. Thinking it would please Ith, she downs half a bottle, which crashes her system and makes her unable to move. Pop then starts untying her clothes, which sends a warning to Jean's computer, who immediately warns Ith before the security protocol kills his friend. Angry, Ith rushes into the room and punches Pop, accusing him of trying to rape Anna. He then confesses that Anna was not a girl, but a sex robot his father had burdened him with by taking out such large loans. Hearing all he said, Anna felt hurt by his words and slapped Ith to show her emotions while tears fell down her face. While rushing out of the house, Anna is accidentally hit by the car, which Ith witnesses soon after. After being called by panicked Ith, Gene quickly arrives and takes a look at Anna. He explains to Ith that her motherboard was badly damaged, which means she would a completely new programming, releasing him from the responsibility of sleeping with her. Although he knows he should be happy that he is now rid of her, Ith feels devastated for letting Anna go in such horrible circumstances. Returning to his father's old room, he remembers all the conversations he had with Anna and starts to weep. It thinks that he destroys everyone who loves him. When he heads out of the room, he finds Lisa and Penguiny waiting for him, and they start urging him to save Anna. When he gets to John's lab, all he can find is a completely rebooted robot that has no memories of him. Desperate to have his companion again, Ith asks if there is anything he can do to bring Anna back. Mentioning that it would be very risky, Gene explains that Anna could be made to remember by connecting another person's brainwaves to hers. He warns Ith that if he gets stuck in her head, there is a chance he could never wake up. Accepting the risks, Ith lays down on the table next to her to begin the procedure. Once Gene turns on the machine, Ith finds himself in his fragile memories, but manages to overcome them. He is taken from memory, each one leading him to the next, until he finally manages to find what he is looking for. Anna is lying down on a table, wearing a full white dress, and is being showered by the beautiful rays of the sun. Holding her hands, he thanked her for coming into his life and apologized for all the horrible ways he had threatened her. Hearing his words, Anna wakes up smiling and hugs him. That night, the couple go home together and are both ready to take the next step. And with that, the movie ends. We hope you enjoyed our recap. Like the video and subscribe to our channel for more amazing recaps. See you in the next one.